Before trucks and tractors, horsepower was real power. And heavy horses became the engine of battlefields, agriculture, and heavy transportation. In this video, you'll see giant horses so strong that even Julius Caesar used them in war. You'll also meet the kind of horse Napoleon used to pull artillery and military transport, calling it the ideal artillery horse. And the story doesn't stop there. World War I also relied on these massive horses to move guns, wagons, and supplies when machines were still not enough. Then there's a Soviet giant that in 1957, at the Tambov Hippodrome, pulled a train of wagons weighing 22,991 kilos. That's the kind of power we're talking about today. So stay with me. Because these horses were not just big. They carried war, work, and history on their backs. Belgian Draft Horse. If you go far back into the story of the Belgian Draft, you end up in the age of knights, armor, and heavy war horses. This breed is often linked to the old Great Flemish Horse, the huge great horse of medieval times. Later, the line we know today was shaped from Brabant and Flemish horses, and Valaiseal became one of the old centers that helped make the breed famous in Belgium. And once you see its body, the history starts to make sense. A Belgian Draft usually stands around 16 to 18 hands tall and often weighs about 1,800 to 2,200 pounds, with bigger ones going past that. It has a thick neck, a wide chest, a short, strong back, heavy muscle, and large hooves that look built for hard ground and hard work. The world's biggest and record-holding horses have also come from this same breed, and that says a lot about the power of the Belgian Draft. One of the most famous was Big Jake, the horse known by Guinness World Records as the tallest living horse. He was a Belgian Draft from Nebraska, and later lived at Smoky Hollow Farms in Poynette, Wisconsin. Big Jake stood 20 hands, 2.75 inches tall, and weighed about 2,500 pounds. And Big Jake was not the only giant. Brooklyn Supreme, a red-roan Belgian stallion, is still remembered as one of the heaviest horses ever talked about, standing around 19.2 hands and weighing about 3,200 pounds. Then there was Zeus, a Belgian Draft from New Hampshire, a calm giant that reached 21 hands tall and about 3,000 pounds. People loved him for his size, but also because he had that soft, gentle feel these huge horses often have. He passed away in January 2014, but his name still comes up whenever people talk about truly massive horses. 17. Trait du Nord, a rare draft horse. The story of the Trait du Nord begins in Hainaut, near the Belgian border, where farmers needed a horse with real power in its body. Its roots sit close to the old Belgian and Dutch draft horses, and the breed was shaped by the rich land of the north and by farmers who needed a horse that could pull hard all day. In the 1800s and early 1900s, it was valued in big farms and also in coal mines, where its strength made it useful above ground and below it. Its history became even more solid on the 5th of August 1903 when the breed got its official stud book, and power is exactly what you see in its body. The official breed standard says mares stand around 1.68 meters tall, while stallions are around 1.75 meters. Mares usually weigh about 800 to 900 kilos, and stallions can reach about 1,000 kilos. It has a short back, a broad chest, a deep body, thick muscle, and very strong feet. This was the kind of horse built for real pulling work, farm work, logging, carriage pulling, and in the old days, even hard labor in mines. Today, the Trait du Nord is still a rare draft horse, and that makes it even more special. Official breed records describe it as a threatened, low-numbered breed, with just 72 births in 2023 from 62 breeders. In 2023, Cambria hosted the national female competition to mark 120 years of the breed, and the 120 horses came from that celebration. That same year at the Paris International Agricultural Show, the pair Hirondelle du Maras and Icon de Saint-Aloy took second place in the Interbreed Utility Trophy. So even after tractors, engines, and all the modern machines, this big northern horse is still finding ways to stay in front of people's eyes. 16. Shire. Long before tractors and trucks, the ancestors of the Shire were the massive great horses of medieval England. The rare breed Survival Trust says this powerful type was used to carry armored knights into battle. As times changed and war changed, the Shire changed too, but it never lost that heavy, powerful frame that made people stop and stare. And that power still shows in its body. The Shire is widely recognized as the largest horse breed in the world, and Guinness notes that mature stallions usually stand 17 hands or more, and a mature stallion can weigh almost 1 ton. Shires were used on farms before tractors took over, and they were also a familiar sight with transporters and brewers in towns and cities. And when people talk about giant horses, this breed comes up again right away. One of the best-known names is Samson, later called Mammoth, the tallest horse ever recorded. Guinness says this Shire gelding was bred in 1846, raised by Thomas Cleaver of Toddington Mills in Bedfordshire, and measured 21.25 hands tall in 1850. Later, he was said to have weighed 1,524 kilos. That's not just big for a horse. This is huge in a way that barely sounds real. 15. Auxois horse. The Auxois belongs to Burgundy, and you can almost feel that land inside the breed. France Trade says it was developed from local Burgundy mares crossed with Ardennes and True du Nord stallions, a bit of Percheron and Boulonnais blood added later. The rich grasslands of the Auxois region helped shape it into a large, heavy horse with free, easy-moving step. And once you look at its body, that story becomes easy to believe. France Trade describes the Auxois as a big horse standing around 1.6 to 1.7 meters tall, and its weight can be massive. Regional Burgundy material says that some Auxois horses go past 1 ton, which is huge even for a draft horse. In the 2024 Paris competition, the winning mare, Kippa de la Fontaine, was reported at 928 kilograms. This breed has the kind of body made for heavy pulling. Breeder Eric Dahmen described the Auxois as an animal that feels impressive and deeply attached to people, which tells you a lot about its nature. Still, the breed remains rare. A 2024 regional report said it is stabilized at around 100 to 120 births a year after once coming close to disappearing. And a 2026 regional article said it now has around 100 births a year, making it the third smallest French draft breed by numbers. 14. Ardennes. The Ardennes has a story that runs back to 58 BC, when Julius Caesar came across the tough horses of that region that would later be linked to this breed. France Trade also presents the Ardennes as one of France's oldest draft breeds, long tied to Roman use. And the old war trail does not stop there. Belgian breed history links the Ardennes to Geoffrey of Bouillon and the First Crusade, then later to Walloon dragons at Colin in 1757, where Ardennes horses were ridden in a famous charge. The Belgian studbook history says Napoleon used the Ardennes to pull artillery and military transport, calling it the ideal artillery horse for its strength and maneuverability. War shaped this horse first, but farming made it even heavier. France Trade says the breed became more powerful in the 19th century when breeding with the Belgian Draft. Today, the Ardennes is a compact, heavy-set horse that usually stands around 1.6 meters for mares and 1.62 meters for males, with an adult weight of about 700 to 1,000 kilos. It is thick through the body, strong in the chest, and built low and solid, which is exactly the kind of frame that suits hard pulling. And after the war years were gone, the breed did not lose its purpose. It moved into forest, fields, vineyards, tourism work, and modern harness jobs, which says a lot about how useful it still is. 13. Norwegian Dole horse. The story of the Norwegian Dole horse begins in Gudbrandsdalen in eastern Norway, where people needed a horse that could deal with rough ground, cold weather, and long days of work. The breed was officially established in 1857, and from the start, it was bred for agriculture, forestry, and transport. Its roots are also linked to older horses in the region, and Oklahoma State University notes the Friesian likely played a part in its background. And that strength shows in a very honest kind of way. The Dole is often described as one of the smallest cold-blood breeds, but that does not mean weak, not even close. Oklahoma State University says it has great pulling power, along with agility and stamina, which is a strong mix for a working horse. The 2025 Approved Stallion Catalog shows just how solid these horses can be, with recent stallions listed around 157 to 158.5 centimeters in height and chest measurements around 203 to 206 centimeters. A Nordic status report listed 4,270 live horses and 164 foals born in Norway in 2022. Still, the breed is far from forgotten. Dole horses continue to appear in national championships in sports like driving, dressage, and jumping, which says a lot about how useful and athletic they still are. 12. Australian Draft. Australia did not just borrow this horse from Europe and keep it the same. Over time, it shaped its own heavy worker for its own land. The official breed society says the Australian Draft developed in the 1800s from Clydesdale, Shire, Percheron, and Suffolk Punch blood, then became a distinct Australian type. This horse pulled logs, worked the plow, moved goods, hauled rail wagons, and even carried families from place to place. And when farming expanded after the gold rush, bullocks were no longer enough. The Australian Draft became the faster, stronger answer, and that hard life shows in its body. Australian Draft horses usually stand around 16 to 17.2 hands and often weigh about 600 to 900 kilos. Even when machines started pushing heavy horses aside, the Australian Draft did not disappear so easily. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, many people turned back to horsepower again, and that helped keep the breed alive when many others could have faded away. Marley Studd explains that Australian Draft pull competitions in New South Wales run under Australian Draft Society rules, with the open class starting at 750 kilos. From there, the weight keeps rising with every successful pull, and past horses have pulled over 2,000 kilos. One modern name worth remembering is Marley Banjo, an unbeaten pulling champion linked with Australian Draft competition. 11. North Swedish Horse. This is not just another workhorse. The ancestors of the North Swedish Horse were already being shown in Bronze Age rock carvings as horses people rode and horses people depended on for pulling work. That alone tells you how far back its story goes. But this breed almost lost itself in the 1800s, when outside horses were being mixed in so much that the old native types started fading away. A rescue effort saved what was left, and in 1900 the breed was officially given the name Nordsvenska Hästen. And when you look at its size, you can see why people trusted it for real work. Nordgen lists the North Swedish Horse at about 153 centimeters for mares and 155 centimeters for stallions. With a weight of around 500 to 750 kilos, it is not the tallest giant in the draft world, but it is compact, thick, steady, and made for pulling. And the good thing is, this breed is still very much alive in the present. The official association still runs a Swedish championship for North Swedish horses, and the current event page lists classes like a full marathon in driving and ridden dressage. 10. Dutch Draft Horse. In Zealand, a horse had to earn its keep the hard way. Much of the land was heavy clay, and that kind of ground did not forgive weakness. Farmers needed a horse that could pull a wagon through deep mud and drag a heavy plow through stubborn soil without giving up. That is the kind of land that helped shape the Dutch Draft, and even though the breed became famous in the Netherlands, its blood ran in from nearby Belgium too. A Wagening in History source explains that in the late 1800s and early 1900s, many Belgian draft horses moved first into Zeeland and then farther across the country. That is also why the breed became known as the Zeeuws Trekpaard, or Zeeland Draft. And you can see that heavy work passed in its body. The official KVTH breed standard says mares are usually around 1.63 to 1.68 meters, while stallions are around 1.66 to 1.72 meters. It is a deep, broad, powerful horse, and the standard says the most important thing about the Dutch draft is that it must show power and a colossal appearance. Oklahoma State also describes it as a large, massive horse, built for hard draft and farm work, especially on the heavy marine clay. Its weight is often around 700 to 750 kilos, sometimes more, depending on the horse. This was never a light farm helper. It was the kind of horse people counted on when the load was serious. 9. Boulonnais. On the northern coast of France, around Boulogne-sur-Mer, breeders shaped a horse that did not fit the usual draft horse picture. The Boulonnais grew into a large, powerful worker, but it also had style, speed, and a cleaner look than many other heavy breeds. That is why people started calling it the thoroughbred of the draft world, and it really had two sides to it. There was the big Boulonnais, built for hard beat field work and heavy hauling, and there was the lighter, quicker type used to rush fresh fish toward Paris. Its body tells the same story. The official breed page says the Boulonnais stands about 1.55 to 1.80 meters tall and usually weighs around 600 to 900 kilos, though bigger horses can go even heavier. And this breed still has names worth remembering. One modern standout is Equator 9. The official 2025 Boulonnais Stallion Directory says he was champion of young stallions in 2017, champion of adult stallions in 2020, and then won the Coupe Challenge des Étalons in 2022, 2023, and 2024. That is the kind of run that makes people remember a horse for years. 8. Percheron Horse. Before the Percheron became a farm giant, it already had a name in France for moving with more life and style than people expect from a heavy horse. The breed grew out of Le Perche in northwestern France, and old breed history linked its roots Auxois leads to local mares crossed with Arab stallions. That is why people later described it almost like an Arab horse made larger by climate and hard work. Its size tells the rest of the story. This is one of the world's true heavy horses, with Percherons reaching up to 19 hands and around 2,600 pounds. The Percheron Horse Association explains that the old horses of Le Perche were used as diligence horses, pulling big stagecoaches with the strength to keep going day after day. Later, as farms, trade, and cities demanded more pulling power, breeders made the horse even larger for agriculture and heavy transportation. One famous name sits right in the center of the breed's story, Jean Leblanc. Oklahoma State says this stallion was bred in 1823 in Le Perche, and that all modern Percheron bloodlines trace back to him. After that, the breed's name spread far beyond France. Breed histories say that from about 1880 to 1920, French breeders sent Percherons across the world, including North America, South Africa, and Australia. 7. Suffolk Punch. The Suffolk Punch did not grow out of fancy breeding for looks. It came out of the farm country of Suffolk and Norfolk in eastern England. The Rare Breed Survival Trust says it is the oldest breed of heavy horse to exist in its present form. And its bloodline runs through one famous horse, too. All modern Suffolks trace back to Crisp's Horse of Ufford, bred in 1768. Later, the breed's history became more official when the Suffolk Horse Society was founded in 1877, followed by the first stud book in 1880. And once you look at the horse itself, you can see why farmers trusted it so much. The Suffolk is the only draft horse breed developed and selected only for farm work. The breed usually stands around 15 3/4 to 17 hands with Many horses around 16 to 17 plus hands, and the Suffolk Punch Trust says a stallion can weigh over 1 ton. It also says the breed's feet are roughly twice as big as those of thoroughbreds. And the Suffolk did not stay only in the fields. The Suffolk Horse Society says the breed was also used in the First World War for pulling guns and heavy supply wagons. One modern standout is Colony Eli, who was named Supreme Suffolk Champion in 2023 and again in 2025. 6. Soviet Heavy Draft. This horse was built like a Soviet machine. The Soviet Heavy Draft was developed in Russia mainly from Belgian Brabançon stock crossed with local harness horses and other draft breeds, and it was officially recognized as its own breed in 1952. And that power shows right away when you look at its size. Oklahoma State says breeding stallions average about 163 centimeters at the withers, with a chest girth of about 215 centimeters, and a live weight of around 850 kilos, sometimes reaching 1,000 kilos. And then come the record horses, which is where this breed really starts to hit hard. The official Russian breed page says a stallion named Fors, born in 1951, set an astonishing record in 1957 at the Tambov Hippodrome by hauling a whole train of wagons weighing 22,991 kilos, almost 23 tons, for 35 meters. That does not even sound like a horse job. It sounds like a machine job. Another standout was Zuber, who set the breed's walk speed delivery record over 2,000 meters with a 150 kilo pull in 11 minutes 51.8 seconds. The Soviet heavy drafts won the old all-union heavy horse contests more often than other breeds, and Zuber's result was treated as one of the best of them all. 5. Clydesdale Horse. The Clydesdale was made for heavy work, but it never looked plain doing it. This breed is the pride of Scotland, and its story begins in Lanarkshire, where native mares were improved with Flemish stallions in the middle of the 18th century. That mix gave the horse more weight and more substance. And once you see its size, the old reputation makes sense. Most Clydesdales stand around 16.2 to 18 hands and usually weigh about 1,600 to 1,800 pounds, with bigger mature stallions and geldings reaching around 2,200 pounds. At one point, Scotland had around 140,000 farm horses, plus more in towns and cities, and most were Clydesdales in whole or part. Then came war. 3 years after the huge export year of 1911, Clydesdales were taken by the Army for service in the First World War. And this breed produced famous names too. The Clydesdale Horse Society says Keir Peggy became a famous mare. One of her colts was Darnley, Darnley's line led to Baron's Pride, and Baron's Pride then sired one of the breed's great stars, Baron of Buccleuch. Foaled in 1900, Baron of Buccleuch sold at public auction in 1911 for £9,500, which was a huge price for that time. In America, Clydesdales became famous through Budweiser promotions and commercials, and that they were first used in 1933 to deliver the first case of beer from the St. Louis brewery after Prohibition was lifted. 4. Breton Horse. By the 18th century, Brittany had already become one of the great centers of workhorse breeding, and the Breton helped build that name. The region produced different Breton types as work kept changing. One of the older ones was the Bidet Breton, and these were the only horses said to have returned from Napoleon's Russian campaign. The army also came to Breton fairs looking for lively horses for officers and lighter draft horses for artillery. The Breton has two types, the Postier, which is a little lighter and more active, and the Trait, which is more compact and heavier. The official breed pages give an average size of about 1.58 to 1.59 meters and around 800 kilos, though the type makes a difference. And that Postier did not appear by chance. The official breed page says it came from crossing Leon Mars with Norfolk stallions from England, and it is still described as the jewel of the breed. And the Breton's name traveled far beyond Brittany. The Postier Breton was already known and imported around the world from the early 1800s, and the big export years came between 1900 and Trains full of horses left Landivisiau for the rest of France, and from there, ships carried them to southern Europe, North Africa, South America, and even Japan. 3. Italian heavy draft. Italy wanted a heavy horse, but not a slow one. That is what makes the Italian heavy draft stand out right away. It was officially born in 1927, and its first home was the plains of Veneto, Ferrara, and Friuli. From the start, breeders crossed local mares with Breton stallions to create a horse strong enough for agriculture and artillery, but still active in its movement. So this was not just an Italian copy of another draft breed. It became its own fast-moving power horse, and that power shows early. The official breed page says adults usually weigh about 700 to 900 kilos, and a research paper on the breed says foals can go past 400 kilos at just 7 to 8 months. That is a huge amount of growth in a short time. The same research notes preferred heights of about 156 to 162 centimeters for males, and 153 to 160 centimeters for females. And the breed is still very much alive today. The National Association says the Italian heavy draft now has over 700 registered breeders, while its 2024 population sheet lists 2,981 mares and 5,538 total registered horses, with 5,380 recorded in active herds under the stud book count. 2. Jutland horse. The Jutland is Denmark's national draft horse, and it was developed in Jutland in the middle of the 1800s, and its stud book was established in 1881. One stallion named Oppenheim, imported in 1862, helped push the breed forward in a big way. He likely carried Shire and Suffolk blood, and his line later produced Aldrup Munkadal, born in 1893, the stallion seen as the true founding sire of the modern Jutland. The Breed Association says all living Jutland horses can be traced back to him. He left behind 350 registered daughters and 126 approved sons. And the Jutland looks exactly like a horse built to pull. One of its biggest trademarks is a very deep chest, along with width, muscle, strong limbs, and a powerful movement that covers ground well. The Jutland usually stands around 15.2 to 16 hands for mares and about 15.3 to 16.1 hands for stallions. The Jutland is also known as the brewer's horse, and it became especially famous for pulling the beer wagons of Carlsberg in Copenhagen. Carlsberg says it had nearly 200 horses by 1925, and during the Second World War, the number rose again to around 200. Even now, the tradition still has real faces. One of them is Huxi, a Jutland horse born in 2017, listed by Carlsberg at 719 kilos and 160 centimeters. 1. Vladimir Heavy Draft. The Vladimir Heavy Draft was created in the Vladimir Opolye region by crossing local mares with imported Clydesdales and Shires. Though the biggest mark came from the Clydesdale side, especially foundation stallions like Lord James, Borderbrand, and Glen Albin. The breed was officially approved on September 13, 1946. The Vladimir Heavy Draft is a huge horse, but it also stood out for style, with the kind of long neck, broad chest, and bold presence that made it look almost theatrical. Stallions average around 15.3 hands, mares around 15.2 hands, and most adults weigh roughly 700 to 800 kilos. A Vladimir can move about 20 tons over a very short distance, which sounds more like a rail job than a horse job. And once the records come in, the breed gets even harder to ignore. Russian breed material says a Vladimir Heavy Draft can cover 2 kilometers with a 1.5-ton wagon in 5 minutes or faster, and the breed holds the absolute record for urgent trotting cargo delivery among all heavy draft breeds. That record was set by the stallion Grozny in 1958, when he covered the distance in 4 minutes 34 seconds. For a horse this big, that is just wild. That's all for now. Drop a like, smash subscribe, and see you next time on Forever Green.